Okay, it looks like we're ready to go. Let's see if anybody shows up. It is very early Sunday morning on the West Coast, California. This is Dan's retirement journey. We're Philippines bound. Let's wait a couple of minutes and see if anybody shows up. It's little after 5 a.m. Sunday morning. So a lot of people have told me that, you need a lot of things to take with me, to take with us to the Philippines when we move. And so the idea behind the live stream, of course, today is to talk a little bit about what types of things that we need in order to make the move to the Philippines work, a little bit more comfortable. Hey, Sammy, I came on a little bit earlier, so that you wouldn't be so tired. Yeah. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, and here you might hear the air conditioning going on. I was just thinking about that because it's early in the morning and it's very cold here in Sacramento. And so, the air conditioning, you might hear it in the background going on and off, sort of it'll probably sound like a little bit of a buzz. Anyway, thanks for joining today. I appreciate it. Hey, you're the early bird, but you're the only customer so far, the only viewer so far. So anyway, so today I was going to talk about or get some ideas about what my wife and I need to bring to the Philippines when we move. Now, she's been very helpful so far because obviously she's Filipina, and so she knows what types of things are needed there that would be very, very helpful to bring from the West to the Philippines. And a couple of things are no brainers. But in general, my wife tells me that we need things that they like things that say USA on them. And things like clothing are in big demand in the Philippines, like Levi's and anything that has that you don't typically see over there is pretty hot. So I was just curious about that. Of course, the regular things that folks already know about are things like the green soap. What's it called? Irish Spring. She says they love it there. She has sent tons of Irish Springs there, if she sent even one bar in Balikbayan boxes. And so I think that's pretty interesting, that the green soap is in big demand. Hey, I apologize for slurping my coffee. Somebody said, Dan, when you drink your coffee, you slurp your coffee. I'm going to try to minimize the slurping of the coffee today. Other things that have been mentioned are things like I've been told to bring razor blades, and so I went on Amazon and I bought a whole bunch of razor blades, and I don't think that you can have enough of those. our friend Jeff over there told us that in one of the video interviews that we did with him, he had said that if you have a heavy beard, the shavers that they sell in the Philippines, they don't work so well. And so he suggested that I bring as many disposable safety blades over as I possibly can. And I think that's a good idea. Let's see, I'm looking around for something because I did purchase from Amazon a butterfly razor. I'm not sure where it's at right now. I was gonna share it. Oh, here it is. It's down here, right by my feet. Okay, you're all right. No, Shailene just joined us. Sammy, Shailene just joined us. All right, let's see what I got. All right, so Amazon has these kind of razors. I don't know if you could see it. These are called butterfly. These are the kind my dad used to use, but you have to be careful with these. You see it's shaped like this. This is the inside. And then I was going to bring a whole bunch of blades. So I don't know if anybody's ever seen. Have you guys ever seen one of these? They call it butterfly razor for shaving with. Yeah. So they're saying it's very, very important to bring certain things over to the Philippines when we move there. And so I thought about, I could bring the razor, sharp razor. And the other thing that my wife said that I'll have to do is, she said, shave my my mustache. She said they don't like facial hair over there. Of course, I've been in the Philippines a lot, and she has reminded me almost every time I go. She says, shave off your mustache, because people don't wear much facial hair over there. Hi, Sheila. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. And they don't wear facial hair. What do you think about that? Sheila, what do you think about should I cut my mustache off? I'm thinking I should cut my mustache off because, I want to blend in. I'm laughing. I want to blend in. I want to blend in with everybody. Hey, hi, how are you, Marion? Thanks so much for showing up. Thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate it. Yes, indeed. Thanks so much. Yeah, so my wife, she's been talking about, oh, we have to send this there, we have to send that there. We got to make sure that most of your clothes end up there, and that we have new stuff too, because it's hard to find things in my size. Of course, I'm a big guy, so yeah, sure, I understand that. And it's also difficult to ship things in. But I was telling my wife, people over in the Philippines, they're getting a handle on this. They're understanding that you have a lot of foreigners living there, even in Bye City Leyte. Yeah, you have a lot of foreigners living there, and once they start moving in there, I mean, let's face it, they were shipping in the secondhand stores there. What do they call that? Do they call it okay store? Or okay is the way it looks when it's spelled. But anyway, the secondhand store there, they know when they got a shipment of old clothes in they would usually buy it in big shipping containers from the West, from the United States. They would throw out. They would have to sort through it, and all the large things they would come across, they would throw it out. Now they keep them, right? Now they keep them, and they sell them to the foreigners that are there. So, like for example, in Bye Bye City, you have quite a few foreigners, and we're all big. So, but hey, the other part of it is that Filipinos are also getting larger. I notice, and so as nutrition improves, and they start doing more industrial farming, which is happening all over the Philippines, then you start filling out a little bit. And so I've seen that also there. So thanks so much for the thumbs up. I really, truly appreciate it. Helps with the algorithms for sure. And I hope to see you soon on your channel. Yes, indeed. So you guys, if you can help me out, figure it out. So far I have the green soap. I have Levi's jeans. My wife said I should bring. I've got razor blades disposable, and I have gotten hundreds of razor blades. Hey, my only fear about the razor blades really is that all the expats that live on the island there of Leyte, once they find out that I have them, they'll want to come over and get some razor blades. So maybe I have to send thousands and thousands of razor blades over there. Maybe I have to show. Maybe I have to buy a whole bunch of razor blades and send them over there. Let's see, I've got my phone here. Let me see what's going on here. I've got my Android here. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here in the live. Remember, I'm a rookie. I'm just learning how to do this. I'm just starting to figure this out. Yeah. So far, everybody that's here. Oops, I'm getting the feedback from the live. I forgot to lower the volume. There you go. All right, let's see. Yeah, I'm just getting the hang of this. I'm starting to get the hang of it. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Okay, so let's say I push on your, and then I make you a moderator. How does that go? Add moderator. Did that work? Yeah. Are you blue? Are you blue? Give me the thumbs up. Give me the thumbs up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. So the bots are out there. The bots are alive and well, I guess. Let me get that off the screen there. All right. I think we're good. So socks and shoes and soap, and I think we need all the clothes are covered to make sure that we have plenty of clothes there when we go there, at least for the first couple of years, so we don't have to go searching for them. But my wife and I, of course, everybody wants to travel when we're there, and so I'll be keeping an eye out for I'll be keeping an eye out for clothing as we move around the Philippines and Southeast Asia, hopefully different parts of different countries in the East. Yes, hydrating is important. Oh yeah, I know. Hey, you guys know that because I've talked about it before that I love 3-in-1 coffee. So I love the 3-in-1, but I also like brewed coffee. So one of the things is we probably have to send. I think you have coffee machine there, but from what I heard, no ground coffee. 3-in-1, yes, 3-in-1. We love it. We love it. Except I started looking at the ingredients in the 3-in-1, and wow, man, I was telling you, the stuff that's inside there, ooh, it's not that good for you. There's a lot of corn syrup and things like that in there. Oh, Sammy, hey, I don't know if you know this, but 3-in-1 is very expensive here in the States. It's because they don't sell it here. They don't sell it, not the Nescafe 3-in-1, not the Nestle 3-in-1, because it would put Starbucks out of business. That's what I think. They protect their own businesses wherever they are regionally around the world, and so I was looking at 3-in-1 in the Seafood City Market the other day, yesterday, as a matter of fact, and they want $15 American for 3-in-1 coffee. That's really expensive. I think it's very inexpensive in the Philippines. I think for a whole bag, even if you're going to go to Metro Market or Metro Mart, you're going to buy a whole bag of coffee, of 3-in-1. I don't think you're going to pay nothing more than what, 250 pesos for 30 of them or something like that. Let me know. And somebody said, "Oh, Dan, are you going to be spending all your time at the Dunkin' Donut or the Starbucks when they build it in the new mall, or the Bo's coffee shop?" Well, that's kind of what I do. Are you a coffee addict? Are you turning into a coffee addict? What? Turning into one? I have been one all my life. I mean, if I can't have coffee, then I don't see the reason for living, really. Now, I'm sure that you folks in the Philippines, you have your vices, but when I see people doing live streams from the Philippines, I usually see them with a cup of coffee. Like, for example, Mel's blog, Mel, she'll do she'll do live streaming from Bye Bye City, and I'll see her get her cup of coffee first thing in the morning, and she'll fire up that camera. You can see her going and preparing that coffee. Yeah. And I'll also see people with the milk. I don't know if that's fresh milk or if that's um, the instant milk. I'm not sure, but I I am kind of wondering about things like that, like fresh milk. What that's like. Let's see. Yes. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what that's like, the fresh milk. But I don't drink a whole lot of milk, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it tastes like. But anyway, if you're going to have fresh brewed coffee, then you're going to need coffee creamer, and you're going to need maybe even the instant coffee that they sell here. Here, it doesn't come in those little packs like 3-in-1. It comes in a jar. And so I'm thinking that maybe we will send some things like that over there. Also, people have said bring chocolate, which sounds like a good idea to me. they said my wife says we have to bring lots of chocolate, but won't chocolate melt in the Balik Bayan box? That's what I'm wondering. Will it melt before it gets to the Philippines? I mean, I think they transport those things. They ship those boxes in big container. On top, they stack them. So yeah, we got the clothing thing down, and my wife is encouraging me to bring long sleeve shirts because the exposure to insulation. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's kind of compliment. That's sort of like a compliment, isn't it, Sammy? When the spam trolls start showing up, that's a signal that yeah, you're catching somebody's attention. Or is that just automatic, like the bots? The bots start showing up. Maybe it's all automatic, controlled by some computer somewhere in the world, from Russia or someplace. I don't know, China. Who knows? But anyway, what other things do you think, Sammy, that I should be bringing to the Philippines when I move there? What have you seen your foreigner friends bring? Yeah, they come to all the live streams. I've seen them. I have deleted a few before when they start showing up. Of course, I have to get used to being a moderator. Also, like I said, I'm so new at this. I'm not. I forget that I'm supposed to be paying attention and then removing all the nasty stuff, from the live streams and elsewhere. Oh yeah. You can't. Yeah, you can't forget to bring yourself. That's for sure. So I think that I've been successful uh, convincing my wife that we can make a couple of pit stops along the way before we reach the Philippines. After all, we are retired. One thing that I'm going to do is go down to Los Angeles and visit my mommy. Now, hey, I don't know if you guys realize that California is such a big state. It is huge. And going from Sacramento to Los Angeles, you either take a plane, you travel by train, or you take a car and you drive. But if you drive, it's 6 hours in the car from Sacramento to Los Angeles. So that's a long way. I mean, that's a long drive. Right. Oh yeah, that's no problem there, Sammy, because I love pistachio. Can't live without pistachio. Do they grow them there? I didn't know they didn't grow them there. Maybe they grow them, but they're very expensive. But we love pistachio here. And so I don't have any with me right now, but I usually buy a big bag. Uh, so let's say you have a new friend in the Philippines. They said, "Oh, I would love to visit you there in Sacramento, and then we could do touristy things like go to Disneyland, go to Hollywood, and do some of those touristy things. See the beautiful white sandy beaches of LA, Huntington Beach and Newport Beach. Go hang around where the rich and famous hang out, and then maybe we'll run into somebody famous." But no, Sacramento, we've got none of that. We've got a few areas in Sacramento that that are ritzy, that are high end, but it's been a while since, it's a 6 hour drive to Hollywood. You just don't go, oh yeah, let's get in the car and go to Disneyland or Hollywood. Yeah. Oh. Uh, oh, they're not there anywhere. And I bet you if you did find them there, they're very expensive. Yeah. Oh, he brings them for you, the Canadian. Okay. Well, hey, I don't know. I met a guy. By the way, we're all. It's a really strange thing, because you think if you, hey, how's it going? Thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I love your channel, by the way. Oh, you know that because you've seen me there, JL, a few times. The thing about that's so interesting to me is that so on one of my recent trips to the Philippines, I'm hanging around Prince Mall and things like that over there in Bye Bye. And let me see, I got JL here. Let me see how this works. Push the button. Yeah. So anyway, I'm hanging around Prince Mall in there, and all of a sudden I run into a guy who's my neighbor in from Sacramento. We just start talking, and he lived down the street from where I live. Now we didn't know each other before arriving there. He just walks up to me, introduces himself in Prince Mall. He says, "Hey, Dan, how's it going?" Or no, he comes up and shakes my hand. Where are you from? Yeah, for some reason, the first thing, right, that people ask when they meet is, "Where are you from?" and what do you do for a living? I have no idea why they want to know what you do for a living. They're sizing you up. I'm not sure, But anyway, we find out that we're neighbors. We're only a couple of blocks apart from each other. And I thought that's so weird. So here we are, 7,000 miles on the other side of the world. And then you run into somebody. The first time you're there, practically, you run into somebody, and they turn out to be a neighbor. Oh, okay. Oh, great. I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. Thanks so much for your support, JL. I truly appreciate it. But hey, JL, I got a question. I don't know if you're taking off or not, or Sammy or anybody, if you can answer it. So I go to the live streams, where they're having, to gain support from any YouTubers. So this is what happens when I'm in one the other day. So I'm spending a lot of time in there, and I'm trying to build subscribers and gain support. And I see so I'm subscribing. I must have that night, I must have subscribed to, I don't know, 25 or 30 channels. And I didn't even think about whether I like them, I don't like them. They're just in there looking for support, where you leave a link. And when I go to my channel, I see that, half of those people, they subscribe to my channel. But the very next morning when I go to look, they're all gone. So they came in and they got my subscription. I subscribed to their channel, and they signed up for mine at the time, saying, "Oh, Koya, we lend support, blah 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 blah." And then when I go in the next morning, all those people, they're all gone. Some of you that pay attention to how many subscribers you have, you might have seen this or experienced this before. Thanks so much, and I'll give you a hug back. How about that? I'm a lover, not a fighter, for sure. Better to build up on your channel organic. Yeah, and that's what I decided. I could spend an awful lot of time going on there and leaving the link and all that stuff that you do, but it takes hours and hours and hours. And so I just decided that, yeah, it's better if the channel grows up organically, and I can learn a lot from watching, the channels of yours and the other people that are here today. People just want to. I think that they're just interested in seeing what's going on in other people's lives. There's a certain excitement attached to the whole virtual reality thing. Remember, there were a couple of shows on TV years ago, where they were exploiting the virtual reality idea. The idea that they would put cameras in people's homes, and they wouldn't have a script for a show. They just would see what would go on during the week, and then they would make a story out of it. People are very interested in seeing how other people live. That's what the internet is doing as far as changing the world. That happened to you. Hey, Sammy, did you get angry about that before? Did you take it personally when people treated you like that? Yeah. I wouldn't think of ever doing that to anybody. I wouldn't think of it. It's just not right. There you go. But how do you find out who removed you? How do you find out who cheated you out of a subscription? It would take hours to do that, wouldn't it? I would have to go and look at each individual channel that I subscribe to see if they're showing me as a subscriber, or I figured out one way to do it. The ones that sent you messages that say, "I support you with lots of love," and then you go back and you find out that they're no longer subscribed to your channel. Oh no. You know how to fix that? You're bleeding from laughing. Okay. All right. See, that's the thing. Hey, we're too nice. That's the thing, we're too nice. I think that that's part of my problem. I'm too nice of a guy. I don't know when to move in for the kill, Although I have a mean face. See, one of the things that has been told to me in the past is that I'll have to smile a lot in the Philippines because people are happy there, and they, unless they know me, they won't understand my personality. I don't know how you, JL. Don't worry about that because your grammar is perfect. So your grammar is perfect. The way you write is good. I don't know how you. I think I've listened to you speak. Everything is fine. Everybody's always a little bit subconscious of the way they speak, including me. And you don't need to be. You don't need to be. People around the world, they want to hear your story. They don't care what language it's in, or your native language, English. But YouTube, you kind of have to gear it towards English because that's where the money is as far as YouTube when you monetize and all those things. Some of you are doing so good. I'm just absolutely amazed. Can you believe it? Making a living on YouTube. I told people years ago, many, many years ago, that the whole world economy was going to change and traditional employment was going to go away. Of course, in the Philippines, you always had a problem with being able to go out and find a job. Oh, I see. Okay. You could see everything. Okay. You're going to have to give me some tips later. Yeah, in the Philippines, you always had to come up with creative ways of earning a living. Thing is, Filipinos will be the most successful at this because they've had many, many different experiences. And one of those experiences, how do I survive in order to support my family, make a living, and those things? How do I get money? So, Sammy, Sammy, you have shared some things about important life-changing events that have occurred to you since you've been on YouTube. That pretty much is what I'm talking about. Would these things have come along, had you, hey, how's it going? Pack Village Vlogs. Thank you so much for coming. So Sam, I mean, anyway, You know how life-changing YouTube channel has been. For me, it's more about getting to know everybody and then sharing information. But then I started thinking about it again. Hey, what if it started generating income somewhere down the road, and I was able to take that money and then help someone who is less fortunate than I am. A lot of people, a lot of Westerners, they're into that. They're into that. They're altruistic. But if you think about it, the YouTube community is altruistic. I mean, it's a big family. Yeah. Oh, you go to your YouTube studio. Oh, okay. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. Go to my YouTube studio. Oh, also, let me see. All right, so um, okay, I can do that. I know how that works. Sammy, I have never seen any problem with your English. When you communicate, people understand what you're saying in any language in any country. Yeah, don't be shy about English. People want to hear your story in any language. Yeah, but hey, I think you've done a couple of videos, Sammy, that where you're doing some hard labor, man. I'm telling you, you've worked in your life. Anybody that has seen your videos, they know that, and you have skills. Yeah, there. You go. I'm glad everybody's here. I'm glad you guys are here. Yeah, and that's how you do it. Altruism just doesn't mean money. It means about, like help understand how the YouTube community works, especially when you get older. You usually have to tell somebody 5 or 6 or 8 times how you do something before I'm speaking for myself. Others catch on really quickly. Myself, it takes 2 or 3 times to show me. I'm a visual learner. Just like when we were talking about how to add moderators last time. Um, Mel was trying to help me out, and then um, when Mel said something, and then Sammy chimed in, I put the two together, and I was able to figure out. Oh, now I know how to do it. So no, it's not about helping them financially. It's about helping them with your good intentions and with your, assisting them with understanding things like culture, you know, and that's how you're altruistic. That's how you share. This is a good question. Daniel, a decade ago, I did know that I would be moving to the Philippines to retire because I've been married to a Filipina for 16 years. And so the plan has always been to go back home. And the thing about it is that, let me see, Daniel. Hi, Daniel. Nice to meet you. So in my case, I knew that by the time we had decided that we were going to go home, there were still a few things that had to be done. A lot of people, the dream, if you live in the Philippines, is come to the West. And I have some advice. It's only my own personal opinion, but stay home. Don't come here. In the West here, particularly in the United States, things have really, really changed a lot. Things have changed a lot. But the biggest thing that I could tell you to do about moving to the Philippines is figure out where the places you're going to live, what those basic costs would be for living, and then start planning your budget around those basic costs. The other thing would be start looking at the paperwork, start understanding, you know, how the visa system works and retirement visas and all those other things that you may need. Those are very, very important. And I would say that above all else, figure out how you're going to move money from the west to the east to the Philippines. Oh well, you know what? But streaming is how you built your channel, Sam. You're a success. You're a YouTube superstar. You know your personality, your whole personality. It comes through the camera. I don't know how to explain it, but you know, you could be a YouTuber and like me, and have a face that only a mother can love. That's a joke. My mom loves me, by the way. She's still alive. And but if you don't have that charisma that comes through the camera, then you're probably not going to be as successful as you would, or it will take longer until people understand your personality. And so that's an important thing. You know, you're easy to understand, and the charisma just comes right through the camera. I think I might have talked about it before. You know, I might have mentioned it once or twice. There you go. Drop a link. Feel free to drop a link. Sammy. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, so moderate, Sammy. Help me out. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's right. And so the channels are built upon good intentions, as Sammy has said. And the idea in the YouTube community has, you know, I don't know if it really started out this way, but it definitely is this way now. And that is that we have to take care of each other. And there are going to be disagreements from time to time about things that should be worked out. But I'm not necessarily a fan of airing everything in public, you know, because then that gives the people that want to cause you harm, it gives them too much ammunition. And so certain things you probably don't want to talk about your own personal life, but you you do want to reveal enough to make it interesting, you know, to make it interesting so people know what it's all about. So my story is I started traveling many, many years ago. You know, a good friend David started talking to me about going overseas. And I was single at the time, many, many years ago. I was single for many, many years. And then I liked my single life for a lot. Like I said, for at least 15 years, I was single. And then I decided, well, you know, I started feeling lonely. You know, I started feeling very lonely. And what was life? You know, what is life worth living? You know, without a partner? That's when I started traveling all over the place. Fortunately, I did have the opportunity to travel and move around a little bit. I see you guys are all having a good time. Thank you, thank you. Salamat. Yeah, salamat. Salamat. Oh. Yeah, I had a good time looking for my mate. Yeah, I used to really enjoy, you know, hanging around and at especially in Cebu. I love the province, but I also like the big city. I'm half and half, love in love with the province, and half in love with the city. I love Cebu. I love Cebu City. I love Bohol too. Well, I could tell you that I love every island that I've visited so far. Davao, I've been to Davao. I've been to Samal Island. I've been Tagum City. I've been to Baguio, Manila, travel around. But it's all a matter of time, Sammy, before your channel explodes with 100,000 subscribers, and then that revenue starts pouring in, and then you'll be able to be a global traveler. You won't be talking about moving to the West. I'm not sure I ever heard you talk about that, but I certainly have heard others, um, because they think that it's a better life, you know. Oh, you have a cold. Okay. Yeah, I hear a lot of people in the Philippines are getting sick. I'm not sure if that's a result of the current situation there, but I hope not. I hope you're not sick with the Omnicred virus. Yeah, get better. Oh yeah, it's going to happen. You can tell it's going to happen. Like I said, you have a certain charisma that comes through that camera, and when people latch onto it, they really enjoy it. They get thrilled. They can't wait till the notification bell rings that Sammy PH is online. That's how it's been for me. Except that I'm working usually I'm usually at work, or because of the time difference. Anyway, I don't think it's magic. I think it's math. If you get that first 1,000 subscribers, which probably is a very hard thing to do. I'm kind of shocked that I have as many as I have right now, 400 plus a few, because I started thinking to myself, well, who would want to listen to what I have to say? What do I have to say that's important enough for somebody to listen? That's funny that it's too, yeah, that 31 is cold. That would be considered to be beautiful weather here in Sacramento. Very comfortable weather. So we enjoy that. So I understand that it takes something like 2 years to get acclimated to the weather once I started living there in the Philippines. So why am I coming to the Philippines anyway? My wife wants to go home. She has experienced the United States of America, USA, California, and I think that she sees what I see. She sees a life of work, 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 and then very few opportunities for enjoyment of life. Things are so expensive here. Things are crazy here right now as far as the economy goes and inflation. I know food is going up crazy there. I have heard that people have had to adjust their diets since Odette, because the people are price gouging over there. I know the president signed an executive order that said don't do that, but people are still doing that, and I'm not sure it's because of supply and demand problems or what the problem is there. How do I do that? How do I share it? Do I just send a link to Facebook stories? Oh, some of them are from Facebook. Yeah, they say sharing it could be the single most important idea. Sharing to Facebook, they said. Then I've heard Instagram. So how do I share that? How do I share my story to my Facebook page? Do I share it as a story, or do I put it in my chats, or do I put it on my page? Or I guess my wife can show me how to do that. She knows how to post. She's pretty active on Facebook. and paste it to Facebook. Okay. All right. So let's see. I'm just looking here. All right. Can I do it also after the stream? Can I post it? Yeah. Yeah. And also, please send me those suggestions that you're talking about, and then we can go over it. Yeah. I'll get a hold of you on Messenger, and then we'll go over some of these things that can help me. But I think you're right. I think Facebook posts is the way to go. I think I'm going to end up getting a lot of friends requests since we're friends now on Facebook, Sammy. Yeah, the thing that I don't that I'm not sure about is, so I'm getting like 20 or 30 friends requests every single day, and I don't know where they come from. And so, how do you manage your Facebook page? Do you just add everybody that requests to be friends? And then aren't you worried that, okay. And then aren't you worried, Sammy, that you'll make an enemy out of somebody if you deny the request, that it turns out that they were they're a huge fan of yours on your YouTube channel? I kind of worry about that. So anyway, other things to prepare for when moving, of course, to the Philippines. Earlier question is, like I said, housing. You have to figure out where you're going to live, and if you're older, you have to consider where you're going to get that medical care. I'm working on that, by the way. Oh, let me see. Okay, so here in the States, we have this. We have this thing. It's called yeah, it's called Medicare. So when you're in the States and you turn age 65, the government pays for your medical. It doesn't work exactly like PhilHealth. They usually will share 80% of the cost. I think in PhilHealth, correct me if I'm wrong, definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the way PhilHealth works, once you become a senior, they pay for your medical care in the public hospital. But then if you want to go to the private hospital, you have to pay your share of costs. So I understand PhilHealth is in a little bit of trouble, but I think PhilHealth is a program that someone said they're close to being insolvent or bankrupt, but that doesn't really matter. I think the hospitals they're required that when you present your PhilHealth card, they have to accept you. All right, you sent me in Messenger, okay? Dropping links. Oh man, you sent a whole tutorial. Thanks so much. Copy the link. All right, I'm gonna figure this out. I don't want to get too distracted though. Okay, but we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out later, a little bit later. Yes, okay. Yes. For example, Daniel, this is a very good question. Have you looked into ways to provide for your family and loved ones in the Philippines once you pass away? Absolutely. Absolutely, I have. So here's the thing. When my wife came here, for the first few years that she was here, she didn't work. And then I saw this opportunity come on my computer at work. We usually get alerts that say, "Oh, so and so at this place is having a job opening, and please go and recommend anybody that you can. They need help." Because I work in employment services for a governmental agency here in Sacramento. So I said, "Oh, that's my wife's job, right? She's perfect for that job." So I told my boss, hey, I have to take a client over to, to apply for this job. And my boss said, okay, fine. How long do you think you'll be gone? I said, probably about an hour. And so my boss said, okay, go. And so I run home. I grab my wife, said, come on, quick, 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 quick. We're going to go apply for this job opening. And she applied for it, and then she got it on the spot. So my wife has been working several years, and she has her own money, her own bank account, her own everything. So and then we also have our joint accounts, financial accounts. And so that's pretty much, and so that was the start of formulating a plan for what happens when I pass away. So the first was for her to become financially independent or sufficient, and she has done that. As a matter of fact, without giving too many details anyway, I could say that, she's doing okay. Anyway, the rest of that story is she saved enough money because she was an excellent saver, because she really, really wanted this goal to materialize, and that was to build a house in Bye Bye Leyte. So she saved and saved and saved and saved and saved and saved the money, and before you know it, she had enough money to buy the lot and then build the house. Now, how much was my contribution of that? I get asked that question a lot, and quite frankly, my wife paid for the majority of that house. I only came into play when construction costs started to go a little bit haywire towards the end of the build, and then I had to step in and go into one of the savings accounts and then go transfer money to make sure that the rest of the house got built. Looks like we have a bot incoming. Sammy, one of the moderators, take care of that. Seek and destroy. So that's how that happens. So I know that a lot of expats. So anyway, the bottom line to your question is that everything is set up so that my wife has, number one, she has her own assets and her own money. That's number one, and she can live pretty comfortably in the Philippines even way after I'm gone. One of the reasons is in a government agency that I work for, you earn a pension, and then when you pass away, the pension is passed to the wife. And my wife has also earned what they call Social Security. I think you have Social Security in the Philippines also, but it doesn't work quite the same way that it does here in the West. And so all those things have been established that she would be completely and financially independent once I'm gone. She'll need some help from like the Philippine or the U.S. Embassy to set everything up, but I will show her the way once we get there. In fact, one of the first things that we're going to do is head over to the consulate at the waterfront or immigration. I'm going to show her where everything is so that when the time comes, everything will be fine for her. Well, everything's fine now. Quite. I wish I could go into more detail, but she's financially independent. Okay, cool. Okay, BG. Okay, BG. All right, BG Sean. Okay. Thanks so much, Angelica. I love that name. You have there one of my most favorite names. Let me go find you in here, Angelica. Yeah, any of you want to leave a link, please feel free to do so. Thanks so much, Angelica. I appreciate that. I appreciate you being here. a little bit too early for people in the States to be here, especially if you live on the West Coast. You know, I am developing a pretty good following in both places when I go look in my YouTube analytics. Um, it's surprisingly well. Odette skewed the numbers a little bit because people were searching and going in looking for video on Odette. As some of you may know, Coach Mavs was out there. Coach Mavs David, my brother-in-law, was out there taking video as the typhoon came in, and those videos ended up getting a lot of hits. One of them really launched, at something like 5.6 thousand hits. I mean, it was very, very surprising. Just checking to see if I missed anybody here. You're always welcome here. Always. Yeah, so it skewed my numbers. I guess that's the point that I was trying to make. It skewed my numbers a little bit. So, Daniel, I think you were headed for a certain direction. I don't know if you're still here, but I think you were headed a certain direction as far as that. Have you taken care of the loved ones that you'll leave behind? I hear that. I know this might not be the best time to bring up this subject, but I hear that that there's a saying in the Philippines that has something to do with when a Filipino is married to a foreigner, and it's something like from poor to rich to poor. And I think that exists for a reason. I think that folks wouldn't be talking that way if there wasn't a certain amount of truth to that foreigners come into the Philippines and they form relationships with Filipinas and they end up becoming domestic partners or getting married, and they stay in the Philippines and they don't ever have the opportunity to become financially independent. And I think that what ends up happening is the foreigner thinks they're going to live forever, and the day eventually comes when they pass away, and the wife ends up, or the domestic partner of that foreigner ends up having to figure out how to survive after that. And not only that, but also provide the means for which they're going to bury their husband. And so I think that there's a lot of talk on the internet about that subject. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of talk, and the foreigners are they're feeling a little bit of pressure. They're feeling a little bit of pressure to provide for their loved ones, and so they're coming up with plans. If you notice, a lot of the plans are to start a YouTube channel. That's one of the ways that people can become financially independent. I agree that it is. I mean, I don't know if you saw the video where Cess was checking her mail. Cess Philippine Diary. I think she changed her channel name. I think it was Cess Travel Vlog, and now it's Cess Philippine Diary. Well, I've been a fan for a long time of Cess, and so she was checking her mail or tracking down her mail, and she opened the envelopes up, and she said, "Oh, it turns out to be YouTube. It turned out to be advertising revenue." And she had made a quick comment, although she didn't share how much money it was. She made a quick comment that, "Oh, it's She looked, and her eyes kind of got wide. They widened, like, what? So apparently, the ad revenue is enough for if when compared to Filipino wages. And so a lot of people are going there, and they're now. Some of you are high earners in YouTube, I'm sure. And but we talked about a little bit, the average salary in the Philippines, and it's it's even lower in the province, and so you have to figure out a way to help your Filipina sustain herself when you've left this planet, and that has been done in the case of my wife and I. Like I said, I have a government pension that's going to kick in soon as I leave, and then that money will transfer a percentage of the money, not the whole thing. They call it surviving spouse, and that will transfer over to my wife. So if I were to make a recommendation to foreigners who have domestic partners in the Philippines, the one recommendation that I will give is marry the woman. You marry that woman, and because you legally marry the woman, because it helps. It's going to help with any benefits that you may be entitled to if you're married to a foreigner. So I don't really understand. I didn't really mean to talk about this. It's kind of a controversial issue, but it's not. They'll have much more benefit if you're married. Maybe like getting surviving spouse money from Social Security and things like that. So you have to kind of take care of the one you love, and definitely love the one you care for. Party music. Hey, party on. Thanks for being here. Yes, indeed. Let me see if I could find you in here. All right, I see some of the bots are out. Thanks for moderating, you guys. I truly appreciate it. Yeah. Oh, man, you know what? That's like a miracle, right? I mean, plus, like I said, YouTube it's a very altruistic community, and so we help each other. And even if we don't agree 100% with some of the ideas that the YouTube channel is presenting, we support, because we know we're entering into a new economy. We know. I mean, if you're in the West, you don't see this happening so much. People go to work, they come home, every Friday they get money that shows up in their bank account. But I got to tell you something, all that is changing. People who are here in the States, they know this, they know that. We're going through a period of time where people are quitting their jobs like crazy. They're calling it the Great Resignation. People keep quitting and quitting and quitting and quitting. And the reason why they are is they're protesting the crappy state of affairs and these lousy wages that they have to work for. Listen, you guys in the Philippines, you are resilient, and you have always known that you had to do different things in order to survive economically, to provide for your families, your parents, your children. You've known this. And so you have many, many, many different skills. Over here, it's working as a barista at Starbucks. That's your opportunity for the future. So listen, if you want to be a barista at Starbucks, and there's nothing wrong with that, I know a lot of people that enjoy that, then come to the West, and you could be and then you could be a barista at Starbucks. But if that's your life the way you see it, and it makes you happy, do whatever makes you happy. Rent, yes. Yeah, speaking of rent, what are we talking about here? Miller Gilbert. We're talking about renting, and so you have flexibility in moving around. Because if we are, I agree. Oh, that's spam. Okay. Yeah, of course. You know why you're probably going there? Because the Filipino people are loving and caring and happy all the time. and they live in a culture of hope. Not a culture of fear. That's what exists here in the West. You think my wife would want to stay here forever if she saw that this opportunity is going to result in this or that, where she'll be able to help her family and do this and do that? But she has been able to do that, and she was able to accomplish it in a very, very short period of time. And so we love the United States for having that. That you can come here, you can find a job quickly, and if you structure everything properly, the way that she did, just about every dime can go into your checking account and also go be dedicated towards improving the lives of your family in the Philippines. It's the same almost as basically my wife is a overseas worker, right? OFW, is that what they call it? Basically, that's what she is. But she's smart, she's street smart. And that's why I married her. She's street smart. And she saved and saved and saved until she was able to afford building a house, buying a lot. So some people, Overstay Road, I watch his channel. I think he's a very entertaining guy. Talked about how, Filipinos are like a parrot, house and lot, house and lot, house and lot. Of course, that's the foundation. That's the very foundation of security, And so he's got to understand that the Filipino will, and listen, if you're forming a family and you're having children with the one that you love, then you have to be able to provide stability for that family. Children cannot grow up feeling insecure. So of course when the whole idea behind a house and lot is you have to protect the ones that you love. Fact. It's a fact. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's talk about this. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's crazy. But you know what? Hey, party music. The good thing about this is that, we're running the place right now. Because employers are having such a hard time finding people to work for them, we can tell them to kiss our behind anytime we want to. We could say, hey, you can't treat me this way. I'm going down the road. I'm going to go work for your competitor across the street. That basically is what's going on here. Who gives a rat's behind of leaving a job that's only paying you $15 an hour, and then they treat you like crap? No, things aren't the same here. They have to respect. Virtual hug for everyone. Oh, okay. That's a bot. Yeah, I just figured that out. I'm slow to catch on. Yeah, it was spam. Thanks for taking care of me. Yeah, and so you go there. So think about this. So when you go to the Philippines, I'm not saying the United States hasn't always been, this way. What I'm talking about, they use the culture of fear in order to rule. How many examples can I give to you? Oh, if you don't get a job and you start working, you won't be able to pay your rent. Oh, if you don't get a job and start working, you won't be able to pay your health care insurance. Oh, if you don't get a job and start working, you won't be able to feed yourself. All of this crap. It's fear. And they don't understand this ideology in the Philippines because they don't live that way. Because the government, the culture doesn't have that they're not pigeonholed. They don't have that over their head. What they have is the culture of hope. There's always hope for the future, and let's get together and have a party and talk about it. Let's get together and Everybody bring a dish and let's have some tuba wine and let's talk about our hope for the future. Let's talk about what it looks like. Yes. Mm. Thanks. Anyway, I'm getting carried away with this, huh? Well, that's because I'm passionate about it. You know, there's no place in the entire world that's like the United States that treats people this way. See, that's the thing we're trying to do. There's no place. If you travel around a little bit, you know, you name a place that doesn't respect you just simply because you're a human being. You know, what I'm saying is any other place in the world, right? They respect you simply because you're a human being and you're here on this planet and you are taking the same journey that they are. Except you grow up here in the United States and you would never know that this other world exists. You know, you would never know that it exists um, because you're born here and you don't travel much. And so I had talked about in a briefly, I talked about in another live stream, I talked about how generally people don't move around that much in the Philippines. They generally stay in their province, and so everybody is your relative eventually. Well, that's kind of a beautiful thing. Then I realized that the same thing is true here in the United States. People don't move around that much. Not until recently. Recently, it's become a cultural phenomenon that people are starting to get up and move because they realize that, you know, you can get up and walk away, you know, when you're not happy with having to deal with something. You get up and walk away. Like California, for example. California, there's an exodus of people, and they keep trying. Not a huge number, you know, but people are leaving, and they're not coming back. Well, you know, California is coming up with all kind of plots, you know, about how do we keep people here, especially retirees, especially pensioners, because pensioners is, you know, the thing that is going to keep the economy going as California ages. You know, hi Randall, I see you there. Thanks for joining. I started a little bit earlier today, but because I wanted to get my Filipino brothers and sisters in the mix here before they had to go to bed. But anyway, it's getting kind of late for them, I think. So anyway, you know, as you start moving, you know, and traveling around, you start feeling that hey, the world is different over here. You know, once you leave California, you start traveling around. You know, no, I don't want to be that much of a cynic. What I say is, when you start traveling outside of this country, you start looking around. You go, wow, this world is a different place. I got to tell you, you don't even have to go far. You don't even have to go far. All you have to do is go south of the border down Mexico way, or go north to Canada, and you're going to find that there's a different world there. People don't operate, you know, they don't operate the same way as we do here in the United States. Yeah, the U.S. is a very rich country. And then how did they get there? In order to figure out how we got there, you have to look at the historical underpinnings of the country. You have to look at its history from the very beginning, you know, and then move forward, and you'll see culturally how things developed. And it went a totally different way in other parts of the world. That's all I'm saying. Randall, it is so nice to see you here. We truly appreciate you being here. Always, always. How is everything going for you? Yeah. Well, I'm screaming, you know, I mean, I didn't want to really, you know, I don't know. I guess that the idea here is I didn't really want to politicize all this stuff and talk about it on YouTube, but I have to let it out. You know, I have to. You know, people, you know what people say to you, you know, also party music, you know, they're always saying mean stuff to you when they find out you're going overseas. They're always saying, oh, I didn't know you were one of those kind of people. What kind of people? you know, do do Filipinos when they go to the West say, oh, I mean, it's so weird, right? It's so ridiculous. We're going over there because they got something going on that's way better than what's going on over here. Hey, as soon as you land into Manila, you know that you're home. As soon as that plane lands and you come out of that airport and you start taking that first taxi ride to your hotel, you start looking around and going, "Oh my gosh, I have just been transported in time to a much, much sweeter place in history." And I don't know. The only way that you can communicate it is to actually. The only way to feel it is to actually do it. That's the only way. And you go, this is what life was like when I was growing up as a kid. I truly felt this way. But this is the way. This is a simpler, less complicated existence, a less complicated life. And once you experience it, you want it. You want it. You want more of it. You want more of it. It's almost like an addiction. Like being addicted to coffee. And I realize there are a lot of Filipinos here right now, and that you may not know what I'm talking about because you don't have the experience. But Sammy, you kind of do have the experience. You were talking about in one of your live streams how YouTube has changed your life, and all for the better, I would assume. And so the power and the reach that YouTube has. You have friends all over the world now. They're all over the world that you could rely upon. I'm one of them. See, I've become one of them. I understand you. I relate to you. I was able to relate to you so quickly. Yes, party music. There are others that have this philosophy and understanding. And we just have to get on here. We have to spread the word a little bit about, hey, you get the way that the way that you, I guess on somebody else's channel, I can't remember which one, but you see, you got to remember what kind of power that you have in order to change the world. See what kind of power that you have. You have to realize that you're a very, very powerful individual. Yeah, you look at the history of the country, and then you're going to get a better sense of how we develop into the country we've become. It's consumer oriented. They're constantly trying to sell us junk. How many spatulas does a person need to buy from China? It's about greed. It's about the money mongers being out there, wanting to get their share of the pie. It's less about the human condition. It's less about, we want to make sure that party music is healthy, happy, and wise. Yeah. So once people discover this, then the United States is going to put the kibosh on it. They're going to say, no, you can't take your retirement money out of this country. That's what they're going to do. Hey, if you don't think they're going to do that, you watch and see. You wait and see what's going to happen. Yay! Yes. Retirement is coming like a freight train, and it is a little bit scary. I'm going to tell you something. I got to share this. Randall, listen, you could have a lot of money, a little bit of money, and you realize that money has nothing to do with the feelings that you start going through when retirement is approaching. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. People can talk about safety, security, and everything, but the retirement as it approaches is a whole nother emotional experience that is hard to describe. And again, the reason why it is because society, they start feeding us crap when we're little. I mean, Filipinos may not understand this concept. When we're little tiny babies, they're talking about get out there, get a job. When you're age 18, we're kicking you out of the house. You have to support yourself. You have to get out there and work until you're age 65. And then you better have great medical insurance or else you're going to die. Everybody dies. Everybody dies. But here in the United States, they want to sell you the idea that you live forever. And the reason why is because they want you to buy more spatulas from the 99-cent store that are made in China for pennies that they want to profit off you for. Honey, we need another spatula. Honey, go down the 99-cent store and get me. Yeah, it is really hilarious. Yes, I feel sorry for him too. Yeah, I feel sorry for people that have never traveled at all. All I wanted to do is just scoop them up and say, let's go. Let's go. And I have done that before in the past. I said, let's go. Let me show you the way that the other people live. And it was me at one time where a friend says, let's go. Let me show you the way. And then once I did it, I had a whole different perspective in life. In the Philippines, they don't have to hear this from their parents. They don't hear things like, oh, at age 18 you're going to leave the home. They don't hear stuff like that. They don't have a social security system in the Philippines. I mean, they do, but it doesn't work the same way. And you certainly couldn't live. You certainly can't live off the money that they would pay you if you were a government pensioner retiring in the Philippines. But but they do have other cultural things going on there. That there's certain demands that parents put on their children. That involve support. So, but it's more of a collective. That we all help each other. We all help each other out. It's more like a collective. And so, that we're all in it. We're all in it to win it. We're in it to take care of each other. And that's basically what it's all about in the Philippines. I'm not saying that it's not occurring here in the United States. As party music may know, if you're paying attention, I'm sure you are, there's a huge cultural shift going on, and that's why YouTube has become so popular. Yeah. I think that being honest, it comes, it's going to come through every time, and people are going to, they're basically going to know if you're BSing them. If you're disingenuous, they're going to figure it out really quickly, and they're going to be like they're just going to fly away. They won't hang around to listen to you anymore. Virtual hug, everybody. Virtual hug for everybody. There you go. That's what it's all about. It's community. It's about community. Oh, yeah. For right now, but it won't last long. That's because, economically, tourism brings in a lot of money into the Philippines, and they can't go for very long, for a longer period of time. So right now, the Philippines has been borrowing money from the international community. And the thing is that they can't keep borrowing money forever. They can't keep selling the assets of the Philippines forever, giving them promissory notes. Before long, they'll have to sell one of their islands, and they can't do that. But I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but I think it was like 10 or 15 years ago, the Philippines had absolutely no debt. They had absolutely no debt. And so that added to, a strong economy, and where you had inflation in control, and you had a 9% growth rate, annual growth rate, way better. I mean, here in the States, they get excited if we have a 2 or 3% growth rate. Are you kidding me? We're living here in the States, we're experiencing real inflation is going nuts. I mean, what do you think, party music, what do you think real inflation is here in the States? They're trying to sell us at something like 6%. Hell no. If you're living here, that the cost of goods and services are going absolutely nuts. And if it were just 6%, I'd be like happy as a pig and you know what, Anyway, I like bacon just as much as anybody else, but the cost of bacon is going crazy here in the States. Hey, speaking of bacon, I hear in the Philippines that all of a sudden everybody started a piggery once they realized that their traditional streams of income were going to be interrupted because of the situation going on in the world. Everybody started a piggery, and now I'm hearing that the price of pork is going down. But prior, I had been hearing that the price of pork was going up. So I'm not sure where it's at. Is it going up or is it coming down? Because here in the States, the prices of pig are going crazy. I mean, crazy. I'm telling you. And we keep paying the price, especially me. I'm not going to give up not eating bacon. I'm not. That's pork belly. Well, here, we don't slaughter the pig in front of God and everybody like they do in the Philippines. We go to the supermarket and it's already processed for us. I don't know. I just wanted to make that point. But nonetheless, food is getting really, really expensive here. Okay, Sammy, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We will see you later, and as always, and I will be chatting with you on the messenger, and so you can teach me how this thing works. I really, truly appreciate it. If you guys haven't, to go to Sammy's channel, a very, very, the love just comes through the television set when Sammy is on. Big heart to you. Is it more financially efficient to move your wife to America or move to the Philippines? It's up to you what kind of life that you want to live, I would say. Yeah, it's up to you. But I think that for your age, you're probably going to want to slay the dragon. And so you'll take advantage of, because I have a feeling you see the world pretty similar to the way that I see it. And so you would take advantage of them during this period of time, take advantage of employers here in the States, and you will make hay. And that is that you'll take advantage of making money as fast and as quickly as you possibly can in any kind of way. Probably a good way of doing it is becoming part of that economy, the gig economy, we call it here in the States, where you just take a whole bunch of part-time jobs and parlay them into a 60 or 80 hour week gig. There's no reason why you wouldn't do it. I mean, I could tolerate my boss for all of about 2 hours a day. So if I had put together like 6 or 7 or 8 employers, yes, if you're watching from the Philippines, you can do this. And you have, let's say you have 4 separate jobs. And of course, the employers, as you know, they're being very accommodating right now because they got no people to work. I mean, they have no people to work. Even they can't man the drive-through window at McDonald's. Then you would put them all together into, what your working world would look like, and your wives too. See, that's the whole thing. So you both can take advantage of it. So I guess I just said, bring her here, and then she has the opportunity to go to work and do the same thing that you're doing, and that is that she can formulate her own work schedule based on how many jobs she has. Of course, if she's skilled, like there are a lot of nurses that are coming over here, then there's opportunities all over the place for her to work in any healthcare setting, and they're making a ton of money right now. And so I would bring her here. Hey, how is everything? San Rafael, love it. Thanks so much. I truly appreciate it, Robert. I truly appreciate you being here. Let me look at you. Let me look to see if you're a moderator on here. Oh, there you go. You're all set up. Okay. So yeah, thanks so much for your kind words. I truly appreciate it. Sometimes I guess my greatest fear is coming on here and then nobody will listen. But then I'm okay with just talking to myself, and making a video out of it. I could edit it. And make some kind of a video out of the good points, the good parts. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Feel free to drop a link so people know how to so people can make it easy for you. All right. Stan's retirement journey, Philippines bound. Yeah, you can make more money here, and so can your wife. And my wife, she, when she first came here, she was from the province. Her English was a little bit rough, and she didn't really have a complete understanding of the culture. So, but once she got the hang of it, she was able to go out there and communicate and work, and people love her. And so, she's her own woman. I mean, she's out there making money, and she's happy. But soon, but not happy enough to stay here. She's here for the candy, and now we're taking the candy home to share with everyone. But as I was saying earlier, this here in the States, they're going to figure out a way to stop it, because you have a couple million retirees that are living all over the world. It doesn't seem like a big number yet, right? But I could tell you that other countries, they have more people that are living outside the country. And some of those countries are putting restrictions on their money, on their pensions, on their Social Security. Now, I don't think they could touch a government pension that you earn, but they certainly could mess around with Social Security. They could say, okay, we know it costs less to live in the Philippines, so if you take the money that you earned here outside of the country, then you have to, we're gonna tax it. They can say you can't go over there. You can spend 6 months here and 6 months there, but you can't spend your entire year in a foreign country. Yeah, trust me, it's coming. I smell it. It's coming. People are just picking up and moving, and they're taking too much money out of the country. Well, that's why you're going to develop your YouTube channel. You're going to develop many streams of income. You're going to have a clothing line. You're going to have a YouTube channel. You're going to teach English online. You're going to do all these different things that give you an income stream. That's what you're going to do. Yeah, and that's the key. The key is to live on the money you make, and then the money that your wives make, they go into a savings account. That's the way we did it. So I already was, before I was married, there was only me, and I was living the single life, and I had it dialed in. There was no reason to bother my wife with things like, oh, when you get paid, give me your paycheck. That's a silly thing. I was already planning for the future. I figured that no, you can't do it that way. That has to be, you have to live the life you're living now, and then when she comes over, then you have to let that's newfound wealth. That's how you look at it, and invest it wisely. Let it make money. Let the money make money. And right now, employees are in the catbird seat. We're the ones that have control. There's brain drain going on in even the government sector. People are leaving in droves. A lot of it is due to age. They're simply becoming, retirement age like me. But others, it's because, hey, trying to track a young person to a government job and see what happens. They kind of look at it and they go, hell no, I'm not doing this. This is the most stupid thing that I've ever heard. I'm telling you, that's true. I see it every day. Hey, where did so and so go? Oh, they left. They went back to work for McDonald's at the drive-through window. What? I go, they were making double money, than the drive. I know, but they weren't happy. People today, they value time and family over money. They don't care about it anymore. They're figuring out different ways to adapt. You see, like for example, instead of one family living under one roof, now you have two families living under one roof. See, this is really what the WHO and the United Nations, all this has been screaming about the United States, is that we consume, and we're doing all this stuff and destroying the planet. Cut it out. They're trying to force us to cut it out. The economy of the Philippines will continue to rise, and the economy of the United States will collapse. Not collapse, but it will come down until it has a happy medium. And they want that for a whole bunch of different reasons. They want it so that people don't move around so much. They want everything to be even Steven, that there's no appeal for somebody to go to Europe and live, or Australia and live, and the Philippines to live, if everything is pretty much the same here in the States. And so they're trying to balance, the global economy, because they have to in order for it to be a true global economy, if that's the goal. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Right now, there was a time when this did happen, and that was way back when I was a kid. I'll never forget working for George at he was an immigrant from Greece, opened up a hamburger stand, right? And his brother did not get along so well with him, and he had a hamburger shop across the street. They were constantly competing and fighting with each other. It's a true story. And then one day the brother comes to me and he says, "Come on, Dan, I need you. You're an excellent worker. I've been watching you. I want you to come here and work for me, and I'll give you $1 more per hour if you come to me." Well, back then, $1 an hour, man, that was a lot of money. I mean, that was a lot of money. So of course I bounced. Oh, one day, man, George shows up to my house. He says, "Dan, I'm very, very disappointed in you." And I was laughing. What, George? He practically had tears in his eyes. He says, I thought that we were like father and son. I thought that we were like father and son. Please come back. He says, please come back and, work for me. And I kind of looked at him and I smiled and I said, "George, I love you like you are my father, but money talks." Oh my goodness, he was sorely, sorely disappointed. Yes, he was. He was sorely disappointed. But he paid me. He paid me, and it started World War III, because every other month I was going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Yeah, of course. Party music. Women in the Philippines are beautiful. Filipino people in general are very, very beautiful people. Yeah, and so they want to control everything. And so they go that one way you control things, they go over to the Philippines and they say, "Hey," they go, "Hey, thanks so much for subscribing, man. I really appreciate it. That's how you pay me. That's how you keep the channel going. Pardon me, is I truly appreciate it. Yeah, so that's how they keep the Philippines in check and say, have you guys noticed? I mean, if you're in the Philippines, you've noticed they're paving roads, they're putting up traffic lights, they're building what's the other thing they're doing? Seawalls. They're building baywalks. This infrastructure improvement are being dictated to them by others, by the people that are loaning the Philippines money, and they're saying, "Hey, you have to come in um, into this infrastructure. You have to come into our world. And we're inviting you in, but in order to be part of the global community, then we want you to improve these things. And that's where traffic lights and crosswalks and different things are starting to happen. I mean, if you look at my videos that Coach Mavs takes and sends to me, and that I post. If you look at them, you'll see infrastructure improvement everywhere. Bridges are being built. How about the one that goes from Tacloban to Samar on the island of Leyte? That's one good example. But also look for stop signs, traffic lights, crosswalks, all this infrastructure improvement is going on in the Philippines. And so that's all being strongly suggested to them so that they can improve and become part of the global community, further entrench themselves into the global community. JL, you're on. Thanks so much. Yeah, health insurance. So I'm working with Pacific Prime, and Pacific Prime, if you go on Pacific Prime's website, they're going to send you 10 quotes. And a person who has very good information on this, Eddie, is Steve at the Philippine Information Channel. This guy's like Encyclopedia Philippines, I'm telling you. So when I got searching around, I started looking at Pacific Cross, I started looking at other programs, and then Pacific Prime caught my attention because when you contact them through their website, they'll contact you back right away. And they'll give you 10 quotes, and then they give you 3 or 4 recommended plans based on what you want. But a lot of people may know or may not know, but I'll share with you that true international health insurance is what you're looking for. But you'll find that when you get the international insurance, it's no good. The health insurance is no good in the United States. You're on your own when you're in the States. And so it becomes a bit complicated because you have to figure out whether you're going to, when you retire, like for example, it's a no-brainer. You get Medicare when you turn age 65, and you get Part A and Part B. Well, if you don't sign up for Part B, in my opinion, you're kind of being kind of foolish, because it gives you a true 80-20 plan. But the most important part of the insurance for having Medicare is that they're providing you negotiated rates for whatever service they're providing to you. Those negotiated rates are very, very important, and that's why you need the insurance. So let's say you end up back in the States on vacation, or you're visiting, then you want to be able to have Medicare Part A and B, because then even if you don't have a very serious ailment, but you're there just for your annual checkups, you'll just be all they're going to require from you is that you pay whatever the copays are, and those copays are negotiated, and they have a contract for. So it's a true 80-20 plan, but you're only going to pay the copays on the services that they're providing. So it works the same way with Pacific Prime in the Philippines, depending on what insurance company so you go with. So Pacific Prime is the broker, and the other insurance company is Pacific Cross, which is the actual insurance company. So that's the difference. Pacific Prime is going to give you something like 10 rate quotes based on your needs, but none of the insurance is good in the United States. If you want to pay really big money for insurance and have the best in the West and the best all over the world, there are companies that will insure you both in the Philippines or internationally and in the United States, and that's Cigna Health and Aetna, and you check them out. But when I checked them out, they were cost prohibitive. So it's okay to be self-insured in the Philippines, but you have to have your plan B and your plan C. And so Pacific Prime, for something like, in my case, age 65, for something like $2,600 a month American, they're going to insure me, but they're going to exclude pre-existing conditions. And so you have to negotiate existing conditions with them. So if you have diabetes or something like that, you need it covered. They'll front load the premium in order to cover for that pre-existing condition. So it's the best thing to do is just call them and then find out how the thing works. So it does have a fairly high deductible of $5,000 per year. But if you look at everything that's being provided in the States as far as healthcare goes, man, it's not that great. I mean, when you look at the co-pays, they're kind of crazy high, and the maximum yearly deductibles are fairly high. So what is it for an Obamacare silver plan? If you were here in the States, you're going to end up paying like $8,000 or in deductibles. It's the max. And so $5,000 through Pacific Prime for a very basic policy that is covered internationally is pretty good. See, my thing was, what happens when you travel? What happens when you decide you want to go Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam? I needed a true international policy. If I couldn't find the services I need in the Philippines, which I think, I think that that would be a very rare thing, because you have St. Luke's and doctors' hospitals and all these hospitals in Cebu and Manila that are internationally acclaimed hospitals. But let's say that something that a service they couldn't provide was available at Bangkok Hospital. I want an insurance policy that would cover me if I had to take the 4-hour flight from, let's say, from Clark or Cebu to Bangkok, and I wanted the insurance to be able to cover that, notwithstanding whatever the co-pays were. And so you have to have a backup reserve account. Now, some people have said it has to be a lot of money, like something like, someone even said, and someone I respect actually said, should be something like $100K, that you have in reserve. But no, the way that I gauged it is, you'll probably laugh when I say that. The way that I came to the conclusion I needed something like 25,000 was by the way that I know I needed 25,000 is, but what does open heart surgery cost at St. Luke's or Doctors Hospital? So you do that research and you find out that if they had to do triple bypass surgery, it would set you back $25,000. And then my question after that was, do they take American Express? You realize how funny of a joke that is, right? Anyway, I have a really weird sense of humor. So anyway, you keep that in reserve, and then of course you're going to have the $5,000 backup deductible, which is the worst damage they could do to you, and you'll have more money behind it, another $20,000 in case something goes sideways. You know, somebody once said on another channel, they said, hey, once they find one thing wrong with you, they keep going and going and going and going until they rebuild you, you know, and one day we'll all be bionic. So, yes, the broker actually, okay, so for Pacific Cross Insurance, the insurance agent is actually in the Philippines. For Pacific Prime Insurance, the broker is in China. I think Shanghai. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's Beijing, Shanghai, or Hong Kong, but I think it's Shanghai. I think that's who I'm talking to. Somebody in Shanghai. And I got to tell you something. They provide excellent service. You know, they're on it. They're on it. They sent me that quote, those 10 quotes in no time whatsoever. Once I started cooperating, right? Because I'm leery of this whole thing. If you can self-insure, right, why not? I mean, $2,600 per year, if you didn't have a serious health event occur, you know, within that period of time, I mean, you're talking about 10 grand that you have saved, you know, that you could add to your fund, you know, where you could self-insure. So, I mean, you got to think about that, you know. How long are you expected to live also comes into play. You know, you have to kind of like look at your family history, and you have to kind of guess at how long you will live. By the way, my mom is still alive. She's in her 80s. I'm going to go see her soon down in LA. I miss her. But that's the thing. So I figure that, you know, if I don't get hit by a jeepney in the Philippines, which could happen, it could happen, then I probably will live in, you know, into mid to late 70s. You know, I'll cross my fingers that I might get to 82. So I hope you've been helpful. And these things, don't be afraid to send them a request for information on the internet, because that's the quickest way to get a hold of them. And over on the Pacific Prime side of the house, they have Skype that you could talk to them, you know, face to face if you feel more comfortable doing that. But I've been communicating through the email. So that's what I recommend that you do. I hope I've been helpful with that information, because that is a dilemma. Health insurance, you know, when you grow up here in the West and they start convincing you that you could live forever, that you need this health insurance, you know, program, you know, then I mean, once you're in there, it's ingrained into your DNA. Then that's all we think about when we're getting ready to retire and move to a different country. Of course, other countries, they, you know, if you're a resident, you get the health insurance for a very reasonable premium. In the Philippines, it's PhilHealth, but they don't cover everything. You know, they cover maybe 25% of a procedure, maybe 40% of a procedure, and then you have to cover the rest. This is once you become a resident. And so, I mean, you know, we have to figure it out. And so I'm kind of getting more confident as we go along here. And then once I retire, I'll be spending full time dealing with all these matters of visas and insurance and these things. And I'll be able to help people out. One thing I've already discovered is I know that it's easier these days not to go to the Philippines directly because of all the restrictions. But if you go to Thailand first and then enjoy that country for a few months, when you're ready to go to the Philippines, it's going to be a little bit easier meeting the requirements, and also getting things like visas and all the other things you need handled. So that's another secret I'd like to share. I mean, that's my feeling about it. So you would go out of, if you're living in, like I am, I live in California, I would go out of LAX, and then I would make my way to BKK. Oh, by the way, I've convinced my wife to do it this way. She's gone along with the program. It's cheaper to do it this way. That's the other thing. You can get a plane to from LAX to BKK cheaper than you can going directly to the Philippines right now. And plus that 48-hour COVID test restriction just messes everything up. You know, I mean, it's too tight of a window to try and you know, escape through, to try and jump through. It's too small of a hoop for a guy that the size that I am. You can't just, you're not so agile, you know, you can get a COVID test done in 48 hours and then be in the Philippines before that COVID test, that 48-hour rule expires, you know. So I don't know if you've heard anything about that, but that's what we got going on. So anyway, yeah, the more, so the healthcare will be in place, and then also travel insurance, you know, travel health insurance while you're in transit. Definitely have to have it. Yes, you're certainly welcome. And if you find out anything different, share it with us. You know, I mean, we truly appreciate it. We're all in the same. We're basically in the same situation as you are. You know, and things change very quickly. They're fluid. You know, they move really quickly. They change very quickly. But if you're like me, I'm kind of like, oh man, you know, it's too much for my head. You know, simplicity is what I like. Simple. So if you're based in some other country in Southeast Asia, if you make that your temporary staging area, then you're closer to the Philippines. You know, let's say you go Vietnam or Cambodia or somewhere else. Let's say you can stage there. Da Nang. Someone told me that Da Nang has a direct flight to Clark Air Force Base, to Clark, the former Air Force Base, and the free enterprise zone. So can you see what a beautiful thing it would be if you could stage temporarily in Da Nang and then have a direct flight over to Clark? I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, can't get any better. It's like, can't get any better. Here I am in the morning sipping my Vietnamese coffee in the cafe in Da Nang, watching all the you know, the beautiful people walk by and the fun out there in that clear blue ocean. And then by mid-afternoon, I'm in Clark in the free enterprise zone. And then I could figure everything out from there, you know, because they don't call me low pressure Dan for nothing. You know, I'm kind of like, once I start getting up here, I get kind of nervous, you know. I start panicking a little bit, you know, if you give me too much to do. But if you start giving me the one step at a time, do this, A, B, C, D, then we're okay. We're good to go. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, if it's Pacific Prime, you're going to be going through a broker, and then my understanding was Pacific Cross. Then and of course Pacific Cross, I wasn't worried too much about because I was going to meet with the agent once I arrived there. I would have travel insurance to fill in the gap, and then I would meet the agent within a few days of landing in Cebu or Manila. But another thing you should know is, and I'm checking this out and I'll share this information, is that Kaiser has hospitals in the Philippines. They've been there since 2018. So a lot of people aren't familiar with Kaiser, but they're the inventor of the HMO, you know, Healthcare Maintenance Organization. So I'm also going to be checking out Kaiser when I get there to see how they operate, you know, because it's important. If they operate similarly as they do here as an HMO, as they do here in California, Nevada, some other places, then I think for me, you know, Kaiser is probably the simpler way to go. But we have to see what those HMO premium payments look like. I mean, I was amazed to discover that they're there in the Philippines, in the urban areas. I mean, they have good coverage. They have quite a few hospitals. They have good coverage, but you would have to come into the city of Cebu in order to seek out your medical care. So Eddie, the idea really is, to maybe live half the time in the province, half the time in the city, and then that increases my chance of having access to healthcare in the event that something happens. You know, in other words, it increases my opportunities. Yeah, you would need both. Yeah, you would need both. Travel insurance is very specific. You know what travel insurance sort of reminds me of is it kind of reminds me of accident life insurance. You know, in the event these things occur, then we'll give you evacuation and this and that and that. And so yeah, but you definitely need it because you need to be covered, especially if you're going to stage somewhere else. You know, you need health insurance that's specific for that's specific for that area that you're going to be traveling to. For example, if you're going into Bangkok, for example, because of the situation with the big C, yeah, and that's not cancer I'm talking about. You will have to. They have healthcare requirements, and thankfully, there are a lot of insurance companies that are providing that specific health insurance plan that you need when you enter Bangkok. As a matter of fact, in the case of Bangkok, that's more comprehensive insurance than just regular travel insurance. Travel insurance, I guess, would be for other countries, but from what I understand, there are health insurance companies that are offering bridge insurance policies when you have that gap, you know. But you have to let them know specifically what you're looking for. But some of the travel insurance that other bloggers have said they are good, you know, well, they're not applicable for, you know, they're basically regular travel insurance. You know, they're not comprehensive health insurance. And that's kind of what we need when we get older. We need comprehensive insurance, you know, and so you can find it. And so the idea, of course, would be to have something in place before you leave, ideally, if you can. And that's why I'm looking at Pacific Prime, because they'll act as both they're comprehensive insurance. So once you're in the air, you're flying over there, you know, you could be rest assured that you're good to go for whatever happens. But like I said, it gets a little complex because if you're flying into Bangkok, you know, you have to have their health insurance policy that they recommend. You know, it has to have, it's very specific, and so they will give you a list of places to shop. You know, they'll give you some links, shows you where you can get the insurance or recommendations. And thankfully, that information that you're asking about is all over the place on YouTube and on the web. And so you just seek it out through Google search, and it will take you through to those applicable websites. All right, so let's see. I've been going for quite a while, so I think we're probably going to call it a day. And I just want to say that I appreciate everybody for stopping by and asking the questions. And we've had some great discussions about what's going on, you know, culturally anyway, in the Philippines and here in the States. And we will catch you guys on another live stream soon. You take care. Bye-bye.